Thank you very much.
Okay. Remote. As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to commit that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Penny Dye.
Present.
Dave Iverson.
Here.
Rima Sherry.
Here.
Brooke Moore.
Here.
And for the first time, Shanta Murphy. Shanta, how do you pronounce your middle name or your maiden name?
Blois.
Blois Murphy. Okay. Thank you for joining us. That's it for that. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tucker Holland.
Here.
And Allison Mitchell.
Here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda that have logged in, please respond in the affirmative. Ann Kuspa.
Present.
Billy Cassidy.
Here.
I see Dave Armanetti is connecting to audio right now. There's one number I don't recognize, 978-988-3900. Can that person
Dave.
identify?
Yeah, hi,
Dave.
Mr. Chairman. It's Dave. Hi.
Okay,
I'm here.
so you're logged in two ways.
Yeah, I'm using phone audio, but I have the video on.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is the open meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust. It's being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening by a video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, notes otherwise. We're turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items of public comment, after the members have spoken, the chair will afford the public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must first state their name and be acknowledged through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call. And with that, we will move to the first item on the agenda. We kind of informally just did the welcoming. And number 2 on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. We have a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Penny, second by David, by Brooke, by roll call. Penny Dye.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Shanta Murphy.
Aye.
And Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Item number 3 will be the approval of the minutes dating way back to June 1st. And then we will do Tuesday, December 14th. Allison, can you identify for the members of the board, is there anybody other than Shanta who should not be voting on Tuesday's minutes?
I do not believe so. Let me just double check. It looks like, Dave, you were absent on June 1st. So you can't vote on those. And I'll just look at December 14th just to double check. No, and everyone was there on December.
Would Dawn have been appointed at that point?
No, Christy was there in June,
Yeah.
as was I. But I can't.
Okay, so by roll call, I have Penny Dye.
Hold on, I think you need a motion.
Oh, you're right, I do need a motion.
I'll make it.
Are there any edits, changes, or comments on the June 1st minutes?
I'll
No?
second.
So the motion from Penny,
Aye.
but I need you to actually say the motion because you haven't said
Oh,
it.
I did. I make a motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, June 1st, 2021.
Okay, then I have a second from Brooke.
Yes.
And now by roll call, Penny Dye,
Aye.
Dave Iverson. Oh, no, you're out. I'm sorry. Dave was
Oh,
not
he-
there, so he's abstaining. Rima Sherry,
Aye.
John Todd is abstaining because she was not there. Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Um,
And
Dawn
you.
will abstain because she wasn't there, and I am an aye. Brian Sullivan. Okay, wow, that was harder than it needed to be. Tuesday, December 14th.
Move to
I'll make
accept.
a mo-
Okay, motion to accept and a second from Penny.
Yeah, fine.
By roll call, Penny Dye,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
and Don Holgate.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan is an aye, and Chantal we will have abstained because she wasn't here. So moving to item number 4, public comment for items not otherwise on the agenda. The Tucker's hand as a member of the public.
Well, this is an item that didn't make it into the agenda. It's kind of late breaking, but there will be a hearing for our home rule petition for the housing bank, the Nantucket's home rule petition on Friday, January 28th at 10 a.m. in the morning in front of the Joint Committee on Revenue. It will be done by Zoom. And obviously, it would be terrific to have at least a couple of the trust members testify along with others at that hearing.
So with that, Tucker, as a matter of, I don't know, matter of whatever, but Allison or Tucker, can you post that as a meeting so we can go over the quorum number?
Yes, absolutely.
And as we move towards it, we can look for attendance and kind of order of speaking and etc. Penny, did I see you raise your
Yeah,
hand?
I'm sorry. Did you say what time it is on Friday, the 28th?
It begins at 10 a.m. It's a little difficult to say right now exactly when we will testify because there are a number of bills that they will be hearing.
Okay.
So how would that work, Tucker, Allison? We would open the meeting at 10 a.m. and just leave it open, go about whatever, and then jump back in, or? And how do I open a meeting when they're running their meeting?
Yeah, let me ask Dylan's office about how best to handle that and whether we formally need to open a meeting or not.
Okay.
Sally, through you,
Penny?
we may want to just extend a meeting, right? Could we not extend this to a date to be determined or something?
Sorry, I'm here. My video's not on, but I have discovered that no, you cannot extend a committee meeting. It's really just town meetings that you can do that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll leave that to you guys to come back to us with instructions via email, and we'll call the meeting as needed.
Sorry to belabor this, but
No.
Tucker, do you have other people lined up? Like, can you tell us when you know who's actually going to be giving testimony?
Yes, for sure. I'll give you the list of folks who will be testifying. We're coordinating with Dylan on how best to handle it. Normally it's done in panels. And so we'll probably have 3 or 4 panels of folks. There actually will be some representatives from the statewide effort testifying on behalf of our bill. In addition, Mass General Brigham's will be sending in a letter of support through Gary Shaw specifically for our home rule petition, and Gary may speak at that hearing. So we just learned about it, so we're organizing folks now, and I definitely will get you the list of folks who are ultimately on board.
So I have a suggestion. One thing that's different this time than last time is that the Nantucket Association of Real Estate Brokers has actually taken a public position on the Nantucket home rule petition. And Sully, I think you could speak on their behalf as
Okay,
vice president.
great.
That would-
Thanks, Penny.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That would be tremendous.
Why isn't Penny speaking?
Well,
She's just,
thanks
she's
a
just,
lot.
she's just sharing out the roles. She's good
I
like
have
that.
other commitments that morning.
Tucker, I do think it's a wise, and I feel like you did a great job setting this up past times we were up there, kind of setting an agenda of comments. So we're not duplicating statements or efforts and being redundant for the committee.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Cool. Any more on this item or any others? Nope. So seeing no more public comment, we'll close that. We'll move to item number 5. For closing cost, this closing cost assistance program. And
So thank you. And I may kind of turn things over to Ally at one point here. The first 2 items are subordination of closing cost mortgages that have previously been issued, where the folks are moving to the stage of financing the construction of work that they're doing on the lot. And these are routinely granted, unless Allison has anything in particular to point out with regard to these first 2, we would ask for a motion to approve this subordination.
Ally, floor is yours because you called you out, then I'll come to you, Brooke.
Yes, no, I have nothing in addition. Sorry, the dogs are barking and the kids are talking. Sorry, but yes, nothing in addition.
Okay, great. Brooke, to you.
So I would move that we approve both subordinations of mortgages for 1 Scotch Broom Path and Larrabee Lane Lot 2.
Should we do them together or separately? I think separately. Can you break that
Okay.
into 2? Sorry.
Certainly. Move to approve the subordination of mortgage for 1 Scotch Broom Path.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any comment, question? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Penny Dye,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
John Tom Murphy,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye.
Okay.
Congratulations on your first vote. Very exciting.
So
Go ahead, Brooke.
move to approve the subordination of the mortgage for Larrabee Lane Lot 2.
Okay, great. And the
Second.
second from Penny, and by roll call, Penny Dye,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
John Tom Murphy,
Aye.
Don Holgate, she might be away from her device.
Aye.
Oh, there she is. Great. We've got an aye, and Brian Sullivan's an aye. Closing cost assistant program application, Hafsa Lewis.
I'll let Ally take us through this.
Great. Floor is yours, Ally.
Sorry, guys. The baby just woke up. In case nobody knows, I'm home with my children and the baby's sick. And it's just
Oh.
one of those days. That's the reason my camera's off. But let's see. So Hafsa's application has been on our agenda a few times. She was waiting to just kind of get some things in motion. But as of now, everything is, as far as I know, as is in the application. I've spoken with the bank, spoken with her lawyer, and everything is kind of good to go. So she's applying for the closing cost assistance, the normal 15,000, and if approved, then we will be back in touch with her and get that process rolling.
Just noting on the application, Ally, for future applications, can we update and create a 175 category on it? Because this is a 175% application.
Yes, and that's actually a great point, Sally. We actually just last week, Tucker and I updated the current CCAP application anyhow. We updated the logo and things like that, and we were just waiting for a few notes from town council before we bring it before all of you to do final approval. So yes, I will make sure that's on the newest one. as well.
Any questions, comments on the application, thoughts? Seeing none, look for a motion.
So moved
So move how, Dave?
to approve. Is this what we're approving?
Yes.
Yes. Do I,
Okay.
what's the,
Hafsa Lewis, up to $15,000 worth of closing cost assistance.
there you go. So moved.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Second from Rima Sherry by roll call. Penny Dye,
I,
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
John Todd Murphy,
Aye.
John Holgate,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. Yes, Brooke.
Is this our first 175 at Richmond?
It feels like it is, but I
Yeah,
can't substantiate that.
I just
Um,
want to make note of that we did up the limit on this to include these homes. And I just think it's important to say that out loud.
If with that thought, can I ask Dave Arminetti if he can answer for us? Is this the first closing of a 175 unit? He might be away from.
Hi,
me.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, through you. It's not the first closing, it's the first transaction that is seeking closing cost assistance. There's one 175 that was closed and is occupied at 2 Astor Court. And this is the second one. There's another duplex unit side by side with Ms. Lewis's unit. I'm not sure whether they're applying or not. That one is approaching closing. And there are 2 more 175% units close to completion, one at 3 Sandplain Drive and one at 35 Beachgrass Drive. Not certain whether either or both of those will be seeking assistance, but this is the first one that is closing and seeking assistance. So congratulations to Ms. Lewis. And thank you to the board for your support.
Thank you, Dave. That's a solid update right there. It's good to know. Sorry, I lost my spot. CFAP repayment, Isaiah Stover. Ally, can you lead us through that?
Actually, Ann Kuspa is here and probably in the best position to discuss.
Great, thank you, Tucker. Ann?
Good afternoon, everybody. Ann Crispa, Housing Nantucket. First off, welcome, Shanta. So happy to see you there. For those of you who don't know, Shanta worked for Housing Nantucket for many years, and she's amazing. I know you already know this, but you are very lucky to have her on your board and serving in this position. So congratulations. So now for this, the CFAP loan, the borrower, Isaiah Stover, has paid back the loan. Basically, he had just a lot of things against him as far as the COVID world. Just as he was just got that application, I think it was like March 6th, 2020 or something like that, that we actually said that he could have the money. So there were some delays in the beginning, and then once we recorded it, he's had other delays. So he has been marketing the lot and also had drawn down to use some of the funds to pay to go to the planning board and surveying and the water company. But other things happened in his family. He had 2 children, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, he paid back the funds that he borrowed with interest, which was what was laid out in his promissory agreement. And now we just need to release or discharge the mortgage on his property, and we'll cut that check back to you all so that you have the $10,000 plus the interest.
Great, thank you, Ann. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
do we actually need to vote on this or not?
I don't know that we do if it's just a matter of returning the
Right.
funds, right? Because with that action, it would probably close the note. Yes, Brooke?
I don't think we do either. I just am asking, yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether whether there's mortgage release documents that someone has to sign, in which case we would have to vote, right?
Yeah. I'm getting a head shake yes from Tucker. Tucker, did you want to elaborate, or is head shake good enough?
Head shake's good enough.
Okay.
So-
So looking for a motion to authorize a signature.
So I would make a motion to authorize the board chair or vice chair to sign any documents related to the release of mortgage for this CFAP repayment from Isaiah Stover.
Second,
And a second from Penny by roll call. Penny Dye,
I,
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Chantal Murphy,
Aye.
and Don Holgate. Don, can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to move on from Don. We'll have her abstain for this vote. Brian Sullivan's and I.
Thank you.
And can you clarify for something for me about covenant lot creation and owner's use that is creating it? I've been hearing your commercials on the radio lately, and they're great. I've come in my professional career advising some people about the idea of creating covenant lots. And I want to be clear that I understand, and the rest of the board and the public understands, that as the creator of a covenant property out of your lot, where you create a market rate property and a covenant, you can move in and live in the covenant property year round, even if you don't qualify on the income standard. Thus, you just need to qualify on the year-round residency of that unit, thus selling your market rate, not just the covenant. Is that a correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's under
Yeah.
the qualified family member definition, which includes oneself.
Okay, I think that is an excellent opportunity, which doesn't necessarily convey in some of the advertising that you're doing for a lot of community members looking to take advantage of, one, the real estate market, but not being captured into feeling like they could only sell the covenant lot.
Mhm.
Just something to point out that I'm seeing and talking about and noticing. Brooke?
Yeah, I've actually had a conversation with a couple of community members who've been here a long time, who are trying to figure out how to downsize and pull the equity out of their properties. And this could be a really great opportunity. I mean, I think about it in terms of my own home, that someday I'm going to want to live in a smaller house and perhaps sell off the main house. And so the idea that this family member exemption would allow me to still live here year round, downsize, create a lot which is not creatable otherwise on my property because of zoning, and add to the perpetual year-round inventory that way. And when it passes from me outside my family, it all the qualifications then come into play, and it's just becomes another covenant house with all of those income restrictions. And I think that's a cool downsizing opportunity for some of our older Nantucket folks.
Thank you, Brooke. Yeah, I've just been thinking about that, so I thought this was a good forum to touch on it. Moving on from item number 4, we'll move to item 6, 31 Fairgrounds update. Ann and Billy are both here. Thank you. Ann, do you want to kick off?
Sure, thank you. And I guess the most exciting thing that's happening is that we're breaking ground, which is amazing. And we'll be doing that officially on Friday, this Friday, the 21st at 11 a.m. So we're starting to do site work and dig foundations and get things ready for the modular boxes, which have been ordered and are, I believe they're under construction still. I don't think they're quite on their way, but I'll turn it over to Billy to give us a little bit more color on the timeline.
Billy?
I didn't realize that I was speaking on the timeline this morning, which I do not have in front of me, and my apologies. Ann, do you have the document in front of you?
Yes, would you like, would you like me to screen share?
I don't know that, are we saying yes, Brooke? What, we do want to see a screen share or?
Could Tucker throw it up on the screen?
I just made Ann the co-host if you got it right there, Ann.
Brooke, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I love the idea of having it on the recording for people to see,
Okay, great.
for the public.
Alrighty, so this was just provided to us by the builder last week. And it just kind of goes into each going across, we've got the months. And then this is a draft schedule, but if you recall from your last meeting, when we were actually, I don't know that we did come back to say the results of the last meeting, but what happened was we said that we would be meeting as a subcommittee. So there's members of the Affordable Housing Trust meeting with Housing Nantucket and the builder to talk about what, if there's any questions that need to happen, basically just to meet regularly and all check in so we're all on the same page. So this is one of the schedules that we started to look at. And we've done a lot, which especially on pre-construction stuff, design, costs, specs, and financing. And then we've got our contracts down, our design development contracts, and our permitting also done. So the construction site work will begin very soon, this week, in fact, and we'll go on for a couple weeks. Oops, sorry, let me get in here. Oh.
And I can take over at this point if I can. Pardon me. Can you squeeze this down a little bit so the whole thing is on the page, or do we have to go side to side?
It's going to be super small font if we do that.
You guys can you just scroll slowly as you talk?
Yeah, so starting at the top, the site work that Ann was referring to will begin actually. It'll be more than a ceremonial groundbreaking on Friday. We will actually be digging the first 2 foundation holes, the start of that, as soon as everybody else leaves the site. And site work will continue. If we were to scroll across here, site work will be pretty much ongoing until the project is almost all done, because we have included the landscaping is part of site work. More than there's a lot more going on here than ordinary heavy excavation. If we go back to the gray line, the foundations will begin to be installed likely first week of February, obviously depending a little bit on weather conditions, but the first 2 foundations, buildings 1 and 8 closest to Fairgrounds Road, will be the start. And the foundation work will continue fairly unabated until end of May or thereabouts. I think if we scroll down, or this indicates the middle of June. But it will be ongoing throughout that period, all 8, as well as some additional foundations. We had discussed foundations necessary for below grade solar components that are a potential in the future. So at this same point, while we're pouring concrete, we will be installing those. And if we back up to component fabrication, we're a little off topic earlier. It was noted that the boxes are being constructed. That is not accurate. They will begin to be constructed. It's a fairly brief process on the tables up in Maine where this is happening. It will likely begin the first or second week of March, and then will continue through to the early part of June. The setting on foundations is, if you read down through this, you can see, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions about how these then track. And it might be easier just to view this scrolling back and forth a little bit rather than me talking about it. Although again, I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody?
Going to change my view here for a second so I can see everybody. Does anybody have any questions, comments on the schedule agenda? Seeing a lot of no shaking heads. Okay, great. Brooke?
I said, pardon me, Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering, I think we're happy to provide this as long as everybody recognizes this as a draft to the individual members if anybody wants a copy.
Thank you, Billy. I think that would probably be very helpful. Yeah, as you said, right, there's one thing triggers the next in this. So as understood, it's a draft. Brooke?
I very much appreciate seeing a timeline, and I think the community will very much appreciate seeing a timeline, and so that they can sort of follow along. And you guys are so great at social media. Hopefully that will continue to come out through your social media. What's up at 31 Fairgrounds this week or this, in the next few weeks or whatever. I think the community is very hungry to see buildings go up, and you are our flagship and most obvious next step. So we really appreciate, and where we can offer help with public outreach, please let us know.
Penny?
Yeah, I just want to wrap this up by saying that we had the construction committee meeting a week ago. Everybody was in attendance. It was productive, good exchange of information. And we'll be meeting again next Wednesday. And then we think after that monthly as needed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, also one other thing, it's not a ribbon cutting, it's shoveling on Friday.
I do want to let everybody know that I will be off island on Friday, and I apologize, I'll be missing the event. So we covered ribbon cutting, we covered timeline, confirmation of closing cost coverage and coverage for owner's agent. Do we need to address this item? I'm unclear on it, Tucker. I'll look to you.
Yeah. So this is just basically some housekeeping. The Housing Nantucket actually is going through their annual audit, and their auditors had asked about a particular aspect of the closing, and following some back and forth discussion with Brian Turbett's office, we simply need to confirm that the costs of the closing that were incurred by Housing Nantucket were not part of the loan that is the construction loan and are a grant toward this project. And correct me, I think they're approximately 23,000, something on that order.
Oh, yeah, it was 23. I thought 33, but I could be wrong. I can find out the exact number.
Yeah, let us pull up the exact number. Yeah. But the principle is that that was what was discussed at the time of the transaction, but I'm not sure that it made it into the motion, and so we need to formalize that. And
the closing costs were $28,199.75.
I
think Penny has a question, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to scroll to the page.
Brian,
yes,
through you to Tucker, through you to Tucker to Ann, is a letter from us adequate?
It was just a vote that was needed because there was no vote. We had written about it and we had talked about it during the discussion for the project. So it was understood that that's how it would be handled. But because there was no vote, then Brian Turbin couldn't authorize it as a grant. He needed to see that in the minutes.
So what's the amount again?
28,100. Yeah. 20,
no, can you just say it out loud? Because I'll make a motion.
28,199.75.
Any before the motion, Rima has a comment. Rima?
A question through Brian. That amount includes the agent commission that was listed? Okay.
No. So that was just for the closing costs.
So will we do it separately? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Penny?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we confirm that the closing cost coverage from Nantucket, from Housing Nantucket, the amount of $28,199.75. We're confirming that this is not part of a loan between the Affordable Housing Trust and Housing Nantucket,
And is a grant.
and is a grant.
I'll second.
Okay, so a second from Rima by roll call. Penny Dye,
I,
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
John Tom Murphy,
Aye.
and I think we lost Don, Brian Sullivan, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Go ahead,
So then,
Tucker.
yeah, the second item, again, it's a sort of a similar situation, just wasn't formally captured in the vote at the time. But the board will recall that we strongly supported the inclusion of Steve Hollister as the agent for the project sponsor to be involved and, you know, help with the process here. And so, you know, we had said that, again, this would be a grant from the trust to support Steve's involvement. And I may turn to you to suggest, I'm going to say like a parameter for the, you know, the expense, at least at this time. And if it's something we need to come back and revisit at a future point, but I think Steve has been used in an important but judicious manner. And as Penny alluded to, you know, things are moving in a very positive direction, and we don't anticipate that it's going to require a tremendous amount of his time, but I think he is playing an important role here.
Yes.
Do you want to
did-
identify the parameter there, Ann, or?
Oh, so like a not to exceed number or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to bring up my budget for it so I could see what we put into that line item here. No, it's definitely less than here. Let me I have it right here.
Brooke, did you want to make a comment while Ann works on finding that figure?
I'm just prepared to make a motion as soon as we have a number to plug it in.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, here we go. It's clerk of the works. We have 127,500 not to exceed.
So what I would suggest that we use a number that is under 100,000 at this time, and it would seem, correct me if I'm wrong, Ann, but it would seem that we're nowhere near that, the figure you just cited, so that if, you know, I would suggest maybe we use 50,000 at this point, and if we need to come back and revisit it, you know, then we can do so, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And reasonable. Any comment or question? Seeing none, I'll come to Brooke. Brooke, give a motion.
Yes, moved that we authorize a grant of up to $50,000 for clerk of the works or owner's representative services from Steve Hollister for Housing Nantucket at 31 Fairgrounds Road, with the understanding that should you exceed that, you can come back to us and we'll revisit the number.
Second.
Second from Dave Iverson by roll call. Penny Dye,
I,
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Rima Sherry,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
Chantal Murphy,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye.
Thank you all.
Okay, does that close us up on 31 Fairgrounds?
And did you want to talk about Friday or?
Not really. I mean, just that you are all welcome to attend the groundbreaking event. We'll have a couple words from some key players, maybe, short, because it's supposed to be cold, so that'll keep things moving along. But if you would like to come by, it's 11 a.m. on this Friday at the site, 31 Fairgrounds. And so far, about 40 people have said they're coming. And thank goodness it'll be outside. So we won't really need to be nervous about the recent COVID spikes, hopefully. And we'll have hot beverages and some refreshments.
We should,
Awesome, Ann. Penny?
yeah, so Anne, we should probably mention about the parking behind the Fairgrounds Restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so you can park behind Fairgrounds Restaurant, and I'll be sending out a notice to everybody who has RSVP'd yes. And we'll just kind of let you know where the parking is. So yes, behind the Fairgrounds Restaurant.
Great. Thank you, Ann.
Sure thing, thank you.
We will jump down to item 7, the Richmond Wildflower Acceleration Update. Brooke, before I turn over to Dave, you mentioned a comment about the community being really excited to seeing things going vertical and up. And I will note that I drove through Richmond the other day, and the amount of progress is staggering as far as the number of buildings that are up. And I'm curious to learn from Dave where all the boxes that are on site are going. So Dave, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. Good afternoon. I guess before a specific update to your question, Mr. Chair, most of the boxes you see are probably our 2 Wildflower 8-unit apartment building, which is a 12-box set, which looks either impressive or overwhelming in the field, depending on your opinion. That's a 2-story, 8-unit building that is fairly large in that context. The average single-family set is 3 or 4 boxes, so 3 to 4 times that. There's a couple of single-family homes that are also starting to get delivered, but majority of what you see, especially if you're just in the forward part of the site near Old South Road, off Ironwood Road, would be the 8-unit 2 Wildflower building that is part of our project here. So, but there is quite a bit of activity between our direct development, both on the apartment and single-family turnkey home side, and also a good handful or even more of the single-family market rate homes are under construction and under progress at this point as well. So quite a bit of activity, which is great to see. The only ones who I think are wilting under the pressure more than us are the staff at Cape Cod 5 trying to keep up with all the loans, but that's good for them as well. So in terms of our Wildflower Drive acceleration project, the 3-building, 24-unit project, the first building, which is leading the way, 2 Wildflower, the footings and foundations are 100% complete. If you were to drive out there, you'd see that. The slab pour is pending. And to Mr. Cassidy's point about weather, I will give our foundation and excavation crews kudo here. There's been a little tough weather in the last 10 days, a few of the days, and they've been real yeomen out there pushing through for us, which we appreciate. The building set for that building, kind of back to your point, Mr. Chairman, is actually locked in for next Monday, January 24th. And these are a couple of photos that Allison's kind enough to put up. So if anybody wants to kind of see how the jigsaw puzzle is put together, or the sausage is made, if you will, in the field, that lift will be starting next Monday, January 24th. The weather looks reasonable. And, it is pretty interesting to see these, multi-10 structures heaved up in the air 2 stories and lifted into place. And this will be a somewhat complex one because it's 12 boxes and has multi-gable roofs connections. So if you're out there and you see stuff swinging around and you want to take a drive in and take a quick look, feel free. The next building that's close on the heels of that is 2 blue stem Place, which is the 10-unit building. Footings and foundations on that are about 80% complete. The slab will follow. And those modular boxes are set to start shipping from Pennsylvania to Fish Island in New Bedford Thursday of this week. And that will continue for about the next 10 days. And those will be on island in the next 2 weeks towards the end of January and the first week of February. And that set will probably be the third week of February. And then the third building, the last 6-unit building, one blue stem place, will follow closely behind that in February. So good progress. We're managing the supply chain and materials shortage issue as best we can. The biggest challenge right now continues to be white cedar shake shingles, which if you talk to some of the suppliers, I was talking to Tony Shepley about a few issues the other day and catching up on a few things, and literally the anecdotal stories you hear about contractors following supply trucks and flagging them down to try and get shingles is actually happening from what I hear. So it's a little challenging, but we're keeping ahead of it. So that's the construction update in the field. In terms of Safe Harbor and Shy List, we've been working a little bit with Tucker and Ken and their team to provide some final information, which I believe, Tucker, correct me if I'm wrong, has all been provided to DHCD, and they seem to be pretty satisfied. So I believe that supplemental certification is being finalized and is probably forthcoming any day now, knowing that Tucker's pretty meticulous about following up on that stuff. I believe that's the status of it, Tucker.
You've got it, Dave.
So in that case, these units will be locked in both in terms of Safe Harbor and Shy List, which was obviously one of the main goals here, other than continuing to put people in these units, which we keep doing with your continued support on an hourly and daily basis. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Dave. Any board comments, questions for Dave?
Sure.
I see Brooke.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Dave, where do you guys have any idea of where your waiting list sits right now?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it hasn't changed. If anything, it's grown, both on the market rate and the rental and AMI home ownership side. You know, we don't like to talk too many specifics, partly not to discourage future people from coming by and getting in line, even though the line is long. But it's, as I've said, both in public and in private, in many conversations, it's, you know, it's longer than we'd hope. It's, you know, multi hundreds on the rental side. And, you know, we just can't build this stuff fast enough and can't provide enough units as hard as we try. So that's the good news, bad news. It's not abating by any means. It's, you know, people continue to call, they continue to email, they continue to come by the office. It's, you know, we're all doing our best and with your support, but the wave is not getting any less.
Thank you, Dave. Brooke?
As a follow-up, when is fair marketing on the affordable units going to be happening? What's the timeline for that?
Now that, through you, Mr. Chair, now that we're locked in construction-wise, I should be getting a final draft of the marketing and application specifically for these 12 units, the 50% and 600% units here, and the 4 units in the next phase, which is our next 2 building phase at 47 and 49 Beachgrass, before the end of this week. So I would suspect that 60-day marketing period will open up probably in about a week or 10 days, go through the end of March towards a lottery, you know, in the April timeframe for those next slug of units.
Thank you.
Sure, welcome.
Any more questions for Dave or comments? Seeing none, I'll say thank you for being here. Appreciate the update. And we'll close.
Absolutely, thank you all.
Close
Thanks,
Wildflower
Dave.
for now. Move to item number 8, annual town meeting update. Is that right? Yes. Yeah, item 8, FinCom discussions and housing bank bill are the ones listed here. Tucker, did you want to lead this?
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of just like a preparatory item, but we're going to be going before FinCom probably around the end of this month regarding the housing budget items that will be included in this year's warrant. So there basically are going to be 3 elements at least. One is the appropriation under the general town budget of Article 8. This was funded last year at 485. It's proposed to be funded consistently to last year, this year. Then there is the appropriation under the capital article, Article 10. Last year was funded at 1.625 million. The proposal is to fund at a similar level, same level this year. Last year, Article 10 also included a $6.5 million bonding authority, from which funds in the 1.625 million would go to pay the debt service on that bond. Technically speaking, nothing has been borrowed against that money yet, but it is intended that the recent acquisition at White Street, that those monies would be coming out of those funds, as they're the most flexible funds we have available. And so this year under Article 10, there would be proposed an additional $10 million bonding authorization, such that in round numbers, the finance department has said from that 1.625 million, we would anticipate approximately $1 million of that going toward the debt service of those 2 borrowing authorizations if they were to be fully borrowed. So that is the those are the things that are in the warrant right now. There is Libby alluded to at last week's select board meeting, knowing that there are a number of different things coming down the pike, that possibly there could be some additional funds in a debt exclusion article included this year that might be used for one of these projects where we have the land but need to build the project out, or something of that nature. So those are the items that are either on the warrant or being considered for the warrant, and Ken and I are working on some illustrations and materials for the finance and capital committees in order to give them as clear a picture as we can, where monies have been spent, where monies are intended to be spent, and also the timeline information that Penny and I went over with the construction committee for 31 Fairgrounds, as well as the update that Dave Armanetti just gave regarding Wildflower, are very helpful and will be incorporated as well into the information that we provide FinCom and Capcom. So happy to answer any questions or discuss.
Thank you, Tucker. Any board comments? I think when you prepare the illustration document or documents, I think it's worth sending at a similar time, maybe via Dawn through the select board as well.
For sure.
Yeah, so you just get as much distribution to various boards as possible. And my other recommendation would be deliver it to Brian Turbert before you have a version that's being sent.
Brian is in the loop.
Awesome. Of course he is. Anything else on that?
No, and I think we kind of covered the second item with regard to the housing bank bill. But there's also the general work that we're doing on the statewide transfer fee, which I can talk about, but I see Penny's hand was up.
Go ahead, Penny.
Sorry, I was muted. That was my question, Tucker, about the lobbying firm and what kind of traction, if any, that you're getting with that.
So these folks seem to be terrific. So again, there are two organizations. One is O'Neill and Associates, which is the direct lobbying firm, and then kind of a sister but separate company, 7-Letter, and they're the strategy and communication folks. So they are on the legislative side. They're reaching out to key legislators in the process, including in leadership. A meeting has been set up for today with co-chairman Arciero of the Joint Committee on Housing. And that is the committee where the statewide enabling legislation proposed by Representative Conley and Senator Comerford is sitting. Joint Rule 10 is where all committees need to have reported out by a certain date is coming up. That's February 2nd. And so this is an effort to push the Housing Committee to report out favorably by that date. And that's kind of a key, that's sort of the key to really being able to run with the ball, if you will, in the State House. But there are other meetings or other conversations that have been had with various players. And then there will be further meetings, let's say, with those players involving a broader group of folks once the Housing Committee hopefully reports out favorably. A couple of big pieces of good news are with Mayor Wu now having been elected. She has made this a priority, and Boston will be resubmitting their transfer fee legislation. And we have a call with them, her office, next Tuesday to discuss the statewide enabling legislation and getting a transfer fee passed. As well, this Thursday, there is going to be a big announcement from a well-known healthcare provider in support of the statewide transfer fee, which is a big deal. When we can talk about it more after Thursday.
Thanks.
Yes, Ken.
Through to Penny. Penny, earlier on, I missed part of the conversation because I was trying to deal with other issues here. But I think you said something really very important in that NAREB has taken a positive position, or what sort of position they've had with respect to our home rule petition.
So this is important and it's significant. NAREB voted to support Nantucket's home rule petition that had been voted on 3 times, Tucker, at
3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, they are not taking a position on the other statewide transfer fee legislation, but they have voted to support Nantucket's, which was 0.5% on sales over $2 million, or that portion of any sale over $2 million paid by the seller. Yeah, majority of NAREB members voted to support that.
I just want to say, having been involved in the very first passage of this, that is one of the nicest pieces of news that I've received in the last 7 or 8 years with respect to NAREB.
Yeah.
Well done, Penny and Brian, because you guys are the leaders with respect to NAREB at this point in time. And I can't tell you how much, from a personal point of view, but also from the town's point of view, this is so really important and much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Yes, Brooke?
I want to jump back to FinCom and request that Tucker make sure we're all aware of the dates that FinCom will be discussing the housing articles, so we can attend and just be present for the conversation.
Yeah, we'll want to post those too for meetings, Allison, just so they're on your radar.
Yeah, but as soon as we know them, we will definitely share them. And to Penny's point, so Brian, is it correct that you will be testifying on behalf of NARAB?
According to the chairperson of NARAB, apparently I will be. So we may need to take.
Another
Yeah,
way,
listen.
another way of saying it is, will someone from NARAB be testifying to make the point that Penny made?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. The NARAB executive committee will have a discussion and give me some notes on how they'd like that represented. But I'm happy to attend the meeting. Yes.
And I just as a follow-up to that, I'm trying to get a little bit better at delegating.
I like the way you go about it.
Thank you.
Reva.
Through you, Brian Tucker, can we have copies of the funding proposals that you're submitting?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we could an idea of what kind of budget we're looking at for next fiscal year. Thanks.
Oh,
Okay, Penny, last one.
I'm sorry, we're jumping around here, but I think it's important. The only, until this point, the only organized opposition to our housing bank bill has come from the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, of which a number of us are members. And when we testify, we'll say things like, I'm a Realtor member, but they do not speak for me, stuff like that. I do think it's important to point out that the executive director of the Cape Cod and Islands Association of Realtors has declined to take a position on our home rule petition, which I think is a lot better than a public position against it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great progress because, in fact, he was always the leader in terms of the opposition.
Yes, he was, and he is heard far and wide.
We had a meeting with him last spring or summer, and it was productive. I think I mean, I can't speak for him obviously, but I think that he looks at Nantucket and says, you guys are using a significant portion of what you have available to you today, that you're dedicating a good portion of your CPC funds to housing. You are using the short-term rental revenue that's coming in, and now have established this $2 million budget from there, toward housing. The voters have supported, tens of millions of dollars in debt exclusion toward housing. So, and we all recognize that isn't enough. And so I think he would say, golly, if you are, again, I can't speak for him, but if you're doing all that, then, maybe something like this is appropriate. But I think he has a concern that it's the first thing that a community might grab for.
This is always the argument, the one about creep. And that was argued in 1983 when the land bank was started here. There's not another community, or let's say county in the state, with an average home price of $3.4 million.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brooke.
I'd like to say I had conversations with those folks last year, and the shift from opposition to quiet neutrality is a sea change.
And a huge relief.
Yeah.
Well, at the testimony for the statewide enabling legislation, there was no one who spoke in opposition at the hearing, which isn't to say things aren't happening behind the scenes, but it was interesting.
Okay, with that, we're going to jump down to next item, Bartlett Road update, inspection information. I saw backhoe there yesterday, day before?
No, this morning.
This morning.
At 7 o'clock, this morning, I picked up the people from PES, took them over there, and then Tucker joined me. And I have Tucker update because I was frozen by that time, and he stayed around for a while to see the initial digging and has a very positive report. Tucker?
Oh, well, thank you, Ken. And since we're in the vein of photos this meeting, here we are out at 12 Bartlett Road. And that's Rob from PES Associates, as well as, was it Joe from Strang? Anyway, they're both terrific. We've got just a couple of photos for you guys just showing what was happening. Here's the start of the test pit digging, and here is Rob checking out roughly a 12-foot deep test pit. And as Ken mentioned, Rob called just shortly before this meeting started following all of their test pit works to report that they did not see anything of concern. It was all sort of clean sand. They were able to, with the help of, I only know him as Buzzsaw. Ken, what is his formal name? But anyway, with Buzzsaw's help, they were able to definitively determine that the property is not presently on sewer. Obviously the sewer runs by the front of the property, but there is an old septic system. But they did not have particular concerns about that. So this is good news, and this will allow Vicky to continue forward with Kevin on finalizing the transaction documentation. There is a well on the property as well.
Thank you, Tucker. Thank you, Ken, for venturing out so early into the cold of the day to tackle that for us. Any questions on? Seeing none, we'll move to item 10, demand RFP.
Yeah, so this is an item just like held over or following up on the presentation that we had from the data platform folks last fall, and the desire as we move forward with the next phase of projects that we will be developing to have more robust data with regard to demand for housing within certain price points. And so I think it would be beneficial to have professionals put together a market study with a level of detail that we can't necessarily produce on our own. And so in order to do that, it probably is of a scope where a request for proposals would need to go out to a variety, it's obviously out to the public, but we would want to, reach out to a variety of folks who might be qualified to do this sort of work and entertain proposals. I'll further mention that I think folks are aware that of the $485,000 I mentioned as far as the operating budget, Article 8 from last year, those monies are basically kind of a use it or lose it pot year to year. And that's why the majority of our funding actually goes into Article 10, because that can carry over. But we do have, resources this year that we could fund a study of this type. And I just wanted to discuss with the board their thoughts on putting out something in this vein.
Thank you, Tucker. So with that, kind of open it up if anybody has any questions, thoughts. I'll start. Tucker, do you have new or different resources that you're considering, or are we looking to one resource to fill this RFP? Or
well, I think I don't necessarily have other sources identified yet, but I think I would be reaching out to some folks who I think could guide us to folks that we would want to make aware that this RFP is out there. And so, I think it benefits us to have several parties interested in doing this work. And I really would like to see what's out there.
Rima?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and I think we should move forward and try to get a bunch of parties interested and poke around with our resources to find out who to send this out to. So
Yeah, I'll say that I was disappointed last time in some of the result of the data that we got. I hope for a more robust effort from whomever is found. One of the things that resonates to me when we look to understand, need and breakdown, it's very easily quantifiable, based on the conversation that we had earlier with Dave Arminetti. And it feels like we are a long, long way from satisfying need and demand. So while I want to see the data and I want to understand it better, I recognize no matter what we're creating at any price point is going to get gobbled up by the need in the marketplace. So those are my high level comments and thoughts. But I think it's worth vetting and seeing if there are groups out there that could deliver us something that we're looking for. And I don't necessarily know what that is. Brooke?
I agree. I mean, I think that the exercise we did the last time was very broad in nature. And I think I learned a lot about making sure you're asking the right questions to get the answers that you're actually looking for in a research project like that. And so we still need this information for a whole bunch of reasons, both to guide what we're doing as we develop out these properties that we've bought, but also, I mean, I'm thinking about larger conversations in the community that have been had since COVID about what our housing looks like, what our workforce looks like, what people can afford in the economy that we're created and exists and is growing here. I mean, I think there's a lot of bigger conversations into which this demand for housing information can be helpful to have that. So yeah, I think we should take the lead on this 100%.
Come to Ken, some comments? You're on mute.
Sorry. I think an important thought. One of the things that we've been able to do as a group has been to clearly identify needs and areas to address one aspect of housing, which is the rental aspect of housing, because in fact that has basically not existed in a terms of it being available at an affordable rate because of the fact that zoning basically precluded it. But if we're going to be able to survive as an ongoing community, we're going to have to be able to figure out how to be able to come up with how to be able to have people live here and own here. And that's part of the new process that Tucker has started with respect to the new approach to ownership. And so I think getting some understanding of the various elements of the existing people here that are interested in and or eligible to deal with the second thing of home ownership is as important as understanding the needs with respect to the rental thing, because as a community we can't survive if we in fact don't end up being able to provide the ability for somebody to own a piece of property here and know for sure that they have an ongoing basis for building their lives and their careers here. So I think it's really, really important to get a sense of the two different sides of the need, one with respect to rental and one with respect to ownership. And that's something very different than what we looked at before. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, so it feels like there's a tone or summary that we do want to get some more data. We want to find a better resource. We want to find a better evaluation of what our needs are before we settle on a group. So we may need a subcommittee of this group to kind of create and define what we're looking for to be able to bring this RFP to being published. Does that feel right? Or
I think if there were one or two folks who, that I could work with on preparing a draft RFP for our next meeting, that would outline the scope of what we're seeking, that would be terrific.
Okay.
And I welcome anyone. I might nominate our newest member to be part of this work if she is willing.
Before you totally throw her in the fire, before your comments, Penny raised her hand because she had a thought. I'm going to give Chantal a
Just,
moment
so-
to simmer
yeah,
in that.
Yeah, I'm kind of stating the obvious, but it's the manner in which the questions are crafted that's so important in something like this, I think. I'm kind of stating the obvious here, but.
Yeah. No, but I agree. Also, I think the methods used to interact with the public are going to be really critical in getting the right information. And what does that look like? Brooke?
I can tell you that the behavioral health assessment had a very hard time reaching deep into our diverse community and get people engaged. I know that Nantucket Equity Advocates struggled to get engagement deep into our diverse community when we did our outreach and assessment work. So it is a big challenge. People are afraid for various reasons to make themselves known. And so this is not going to be an easy job if it involves getting individuals to respond. But it's an important job, and finding the right vendor who can build those connections is going to be critical to the success of this work.
I think it's very interesting you referenced two different groups who are trying to find similar information. So I think it's important in parts of our community that are such high need for a variety of services. So I think it's important that we vet those groups out who are trying to do them, those surveys, so we understand their challenges and problems leading into it. And we're not duplicating the same effort with the same poor result. But
different topics altogether, but the point is trying to mine an understanding of the needs of our community. There are people who feel comfortable speaking up, and there's a whole lot of people who don't.
Yep.
And working through that is going to be a challenge.
Okay. With that, does anybody want to volunteer to work with Tucker on trying to get this RFP together by a show of hands right now? All right, we got 3 across the board. I love it. Chantal, Brooke, and Rima. Can I leave it to the Brooke? You're shaking your head no. Go Chantal and Rima, and you're out. Okay, ladies, if that works for the two of you, I'll leave it to Tucker to reach out. You guys to start that dialogue on putting that together, and we'll carry this item to the next meeting. Communications and website discussion.
We'll turn this over to Allie.
I am here. Thanks, everyone. Just briefly, Tucker and Florencia and I met via Zoom 2 times and kind of went over, hold on a second, boys. Sorry, there's a hockey game going on in my living room, literally.
Put your screen on, we want to watch.
Yeah, oh God, you don't want to see this house right now. But quickly, we met with Florencia and we did some very kind of quick and easy cleanup of the website. If you look over the website now, we just removed some documents that were very dated. There were some from 2012 that were, relevant 10 years ago, but it's 2022. So we did a little bit of cleanup. As I mentioned earlier, Tucker and I updated the CCAP application recently, and we're just waiting for town council to kind of finalize that, and we'll get that to you. We're going to do the same with the CFAP. Again, just to make sure it's all up to date and clear. The right logo, the right addresses, just, little things like that. I've started as well some one sheets that kind of give some information about our projects and the purchases that we've made so far, to get those on the website in PDF form, with the intention to be that our website is really a kind of a good spot for people who want to learn more about the trust, learn what the trust is doing, to kind of click on and see. Coming up to town meeting, obviously we know that people are going to want to know just more about what we've been doing and what we're up to. And last year we did a lot of great graphics for town meeting, and I'm sure we'll do the same this year as we see fit, but it's nice to get the website just updated, just so it's a good one-stop shop in my opinion. And that's what I've got.
Thank you, Allison. Thanks for that effort amidst the hockey game. I appreciate it. Does anybody have questions for Ally? Brooke?
I am wondering, I remember way back when the communications subcommittee talked to Florencia about social media presence for the trust. The conversation was that they didn't have the bandwidth to manage a separate Facebook account for the housing trust or Instagram accounts. And I'm wondering now that Ally's on board, whether she can partner with Florencia, because I think the time is ripe for us to be doing much more ongoing updating in the community about the acquisitions we've made, plans for them, et cetera, and having more direct communication, one-way communication, comments turned off, with the community about what we're doing and why we've made some of the choices. And I think the comments that a community member made at a select board meeting are indicative of what I'm hearing in the community is sort of a lack of feeling like people know what's going on. And I get frustrated because I feel like we're talking about it all the time, but apparently we're not reaching people in a way that they're hearing. And so I do think social media presents an opportunity for us, and I'd love to explore that more. And also multilingual communication as well on social media for us. And then also, Ally, I'll email you some things that I notice as I'm looking at the website that need some attention. So, but thank you for all that effort.
Okay, with that, we'll close communications website discussion and look to other business, upcoming meetings, discussion of proposed dates. Are we maintaining a heavy schedule? Are we lightening up to once a month? What are we looking at, Tucker, for a little bit?
I mean, at the moment, I think we're really just planning on our regular third Tuesday of the month at 12:30 via Zoom, unless the board would like to meet more frequently.
But it sounds like we're going to have a couple of other meetings posted, right? We've got the groundbreaking, FinCom, the housing bank bill. So those will all be posted meetings. I don't know, leading up to a FinCom presentation, if we need an additional meeting or not, when that comes around. But other than that, it seems as if the regular schedule will work. Go ahead, Tucker.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and we could, do things on an ad hoc basis. I don't know that you're reminding me with regard to the testimony before the joint committee on housing. I don't know that we need to appoint or post a meeting. I mean, I think that there will be, maybe 12 people testifying, and I would suggest that we, keep it to 3, no more than 3 from the trust itself, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay. Did anybody else have any thoughts on meeting schedule? I'd say just roll it out. And Rima?
Is there a time that we're going to be going back to in person? I mean, has the town talked about that at all? Have we? And if we do, are we able to start at 1 for in person, or are we going to stick to 12:30 if we are back together?
I have no problem with the time shift to 1, even if it was just 12:30 to 1 now, if that was a conflict that you're struggling with as Zoom versus in person. But I haven't heard anything about re-entry into in-person meetings as a near-term reality.
I think that's fair comment. The issue is not only in-person meetings, but the issue is space to be able to hold those in-person meetings. So there are two separate things. One is a health issue, and then the second is a space issue. So there's been no determination at this point in time. And as you heard from the select board is going to stay this way through, at least through March. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Seeing no more, go ahead, Tucker.
Well, I was just gonna say, with regard to possibly having an executive session, or is there anything that you have that you feel that we need to discuss in executive session day? And Brian, I don't know if there's any update on the one thing.
No update.
Okay, so unless Ken has something, I'm not sure that we need to, it looks like a no, we do not need to meet in executive session today.
That's great news. I have one board comment, or board, I think this is the right spot. Looks like Brooke does too. My comment is related to the town circulating an RFP for housing for town employees for 2-bedroom or greater units. I just think that this is these are not affordable units, but as a housing advocacy office, I want to make sure that we note that people understand that the town is looking for rental units for town employees and is preparing to submit an RFP or circulate an RFP. And I don't know if it's out yet or it's about to come out. So
It's out.
It's out. Okay. So that was up on that. Brooke?
So I want to just circle back to the question of our safe harbor number, whether there's any scuttlebutt as to when that the census data is going to be evaluated and reset, and also to then think about the timing of a development plan for the properties we own vis-a-vis safe harbor versus getting people in housing. And I would like that to be brought up again sooner rather than later.
Why don't we put that on the next agenda for discussion?
We don't know precisely when, but we anticipate that DHCD will release our new number, everyone's new number sometime this spring. So in the Marchish sort of time frame. And as everyone will recall, the board voted I think it was our last meeting, to wait until those new numbers were out with regard to specifically moving forward with, for example, the Orange Street property. But that we can certainly include this on the next agenda. We probably won't know the new number at that point.
Thank you, Tucker. Penny?
Sorry, I have one more thing that I'd like to just bring up briefly. We had a citizen make a presentation on her article about changing how the NPNEDC is organized and who holds seats on there. And I've been in contact directly with her. I think she misunderstood what I said at this meeting. What I said at this meeting was the NPNEDC has a seat on the Affordable Housing Trust already. They make an appointment of somebody who's on the NPNEDC. And in my mind, that's like a reciprocal arrangement. Right now, Dave Iverson is in that seat. And she somehow thought what I said was the person who's representing the housing authority, which is me, should also have a seat on the NPNEDC, which is not what I said. And I just want to clarify that. Thanks.
Thanks, Penny. All right.
The representation of what is said has a significant translation problem with the individual you're referring to.
But I also think I don't think you're allowed to bind somebody and another board to something without their permission.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Ken. With that, I think we're not going to adjourn to executive session, so I'm looking for a motion for adjournment at item 15.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second from Brooke by roll call. Penny Dye.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Rima Sherry.
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
John Tom Murphy.
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan's an aye. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Happy
Glad you're here,
January.
Shanta.
Yeah, Sean in the
Thank you,
house.
guys.